Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your number one source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Frost advisory in effect for almost the entire viewing area. I'll show you how many places are seeing temperatures at freezing right now.
Protecting public schools. School leaders from across the state will meet today. Their top initiatives including school safety and keeping public education funded amid federal cuts.
And 6 months later, today marks half a year since Hurricane Helene devastated western North Carolina. The plans today to honor the lives lost in the storm. So much heartache and so much resilience in our mountain towns. Good morning, everyone. It is 6 o'clock. We're here to get your Thursday morning started. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Thanks for making us part of your routine here as we get going on a chilly Thursday morning for sure. The frost advisories are out there, the ones you were warned about by Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center all week long, Elizabeth.
Yeah, we have been talking about this for sure for the last several days. It doesn't look like we're going to hit freezing in our far southern counties, but everybody else has that risk. This is not likely to be a hard freeze. We're not looking at temperatures in the upper 20s for an extended period of time, but just some scattered frost across our area. This is a live look at downtown Raleigh. Nobody out walking around right now, but I think as people get out and about, you're going to see people in coats this morning. 37 is our temperature. Our wind is calm and our skies are clear, and that does allow our temperatures to drop pretty quickly. It is 29 in South Hill right now, 33 in Southern Pines, 34 Goldsboro, 32 in Roxboro. Coming up in a few minutes, we'll zoom in a little closer, and there certainly are widespread temperatures that are close to 30 degrees in some places, running anywhere from 5 to almost 15 degrees colder than this time yesterday. This afternoon will feel like yesterday, though. 66 for the high temperature. I'll show you what will change things to bring temperatures to nearly 80 degrees by tomorrow. Coming up, Anthony.
And that's going to feel nice. As we head out to the roads this morning, Elizabeth, things are in great shape. No crashes at the moment to report anywhere in our viewing area, anywhere across central North Carolina there. We check out those major approaches again into both Raleigh and Durham. We're looking really good as far as the approaches into Durham specifically. No delays right there, but if that changes, we will let you know.
Thanks, Anthony. And Elizabeth just warned you, it is going to be cold when you step out the door, so you'll need to be prepared. WRAL's Eric Miller is live at Sheets and Carey. And Eric, definitely coat weather out there.
Renee, it's a little bit chilly out here. You'll see notably this morning I've got the jacket unbuttoned because it's pretty still out here. Even as we're seeing these cold temperatures, I can just barely see my breath in front of the camera here this morning. It is not that cold cutting wind that we were seeing at the end of last week. You see folks out here at the Sheets, they're getting their day started, seeing a pretty good mix of preparations folks are taking. Some folks out here in jackets, other folks literally braving it in shorts and a t-shirt. As we've been driving around the Raleigh area this morning, we have seen those temperatures dipping throughout our night coming into this morning. Things starting out in the mid-40s according to our car thermometer, dropping down to just about 41 degrees here at the Sheets right now. Of course, we know doing this shift, being out here day after day, and we still haven't hit those coldest temperatures, at least not usually. So we'll be watching to see what happens as we wait for that sun to come up. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
Breaking news we're following this morning. Duke Energy crews are working to restore power after a crash on Ligon Mill Road in Wake County. That crash happened around 12:15 this morning, just north of US 401. Duke Energy's outage map shows about 37 customers lost power. We're working to learn whether anyone was hurt in that crash. Today, school administrators from across the state are in Raleigh. They'll be talking about their priorities for your child's education in the face of possible federal funding cuts. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is at Raleigh Convention Center this morning. Governor Josh Stein, State Superintendent Mo Green will also be part of this conversation together. Kelsey.
Yes, Jeff, hundreds of school administrators will be arriving here at the Raleigh Convention Center in the next few hours. They have a lot of topics on their agenda, including ways to keep your students safe in the classroom. Today, the governor and the state superintendent will speak to this group of school leaders. They'll talk about their initiatives for public education. This is all a part of the North Carolina Association of School Administrators Conference. We spoke with the executive director of the association, Catherine Joyce. She says school safety is top of mind during this week's conference.
What we are featuring at our conference in regards to school safety are some of those highlights that are lessons learned and things that can help other school leaders put in place good practices for their own schools and students.
This conference is happening as the future of the Department of Education is still in question. This week, school leaders are brainstorming about how to handle possible federal funding cuts. School leaders from the conference met with state lawmakers yesterday about this issue, and Joy says that the state superintendent will update local leaders about funding cuts during the conference. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
And WRAL will be there as Governor Stein and Superintendent Green discuss the priorities of your child's education. Watch WRAL News from 4 to 7:30 this evening.
In her first State of the City address, Raleigh Mayor Janet Cowell highlighted reducing violent crime and making housing more affordable as her top goals. Cowell says the city's crime rate is trending in a positive direction. Violent crime is down. Property crime is also down, and the homicide rate has stayed about the same. She says she wants to boost police pay and increase the number of officers on the force to help keep Raleigh safe. Cowell also says as the city grows, that means changes.
We live in a great city. It's been a great city, and we want to retain many of those historical things that make it special. We also have to grow for the future.
Cowell says rent has gone up more than 50%, and the income needed to afford a house has doubled. She celebrated City Council's recent approval of 13 housing projects and says they plan to keep that up.
The state health department says it'll lose more than 80 jobs because of cuts at the federal level. The Trump administration announced it is ending several federal grants. The state says along with those 80 jobs, it will lose more than $100 million in funding in areas like immunization and behavioral health. DHHS says that money directly contributes to the health and well-being of people in North Carolina. Today marks 6 months since Hurricane Helene hit western North Carolina, and those crews out there are still rebuilding many areas in the aftermath of that storm. Currently, downed trees from Helene are fueling wildfires in the areas hit hardest by the storm. Today, Governor Stein will commemorate the 6-month anniversary of Helene. In a visit to Buncombe County, the governor will honor the 106 people who died in that flooding.
Tonight, Duke is taking the court in the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. The Blue Devils are the top seed in the tournament's East region. They will play 4-seed Arizona tonight in Newark, New Jersey. Tip-off is scheduled for 9:39 p.m. Duke played Arizona earlier in the season and beat them in Tucson. The winner of tonight's game will advance to the Elite Eight on Saturday to play either Alabama or BYU. In our next half hour, we'll check in with WRAL's Chris Lee, who is in Newark, New Jersey for the game. He'll break down the North Carolina connections the Blue Devils will face tonight.
A Durham man facing charges in a deadly crash involving a stolen car remains in jail without bond. Sharon Evans faces 6 charges, including second-degree murder. A crash last week killed 53-year-old Jermaine Clement, who was on his way to a medical appointment. Evans has faced dozens of charges for stealing cars over the last 18 months. The assistant DA read a statement from Clement's family during Evans' court appearance.
This senseless act of violence has left our family heartbroken and angry. Jermaine did not deserve to leave this life in such a manner, and we are struggling to come to terms with the tragic loss of someone so dear to us. We respectfully ask this court to hold the responsible party fully accountable and to apply the strictest penalty for this criminal act.
Evans faces more than 55 years in prison if he's convicted on all charges. He's due back in court next month.
Today, the state Senate is expected to pass a bill that would require more transparency for hospital bills. It would also provide more protections against being put into collections for unpaid medical debt. The House, however, is not expected to advance the bill. Now, yesterday, hundreds of nurses filled the halls of the state legislative building. They pressed the state for changes that will lower the cost of health care. At the top of their list is allowing advanced practice nurses to treat patients without a doctor's supervision. Many nurse practitioners have to pay a doctor for supervision, and that can cost thousands of dollars a month. Advanced practice nurse Bonnie Meadows says it often does not add much to the patient's care.
It's more so just them signing off on charts. Most practitioners, they don't even see their physicians. They might see them a phone call once a year. And so that is usually the regular basis.
The North Carolina Medical Society, which represents doctors, opposes the change. They say doctor supervision helps keep patients safe. Sharing the receipts. The Atlantic's editor-in-chief shared all the group chat messages inadvertently shared with him by top Trump officials. Concerns over what this means for national security.
And plane crash answers. Today, congressional leaders will question investigators about that mid-air plane crash in D.C., what we expect them to bring up in this morning's hearing.
Temperatures in parts of the viewing area are near freezing this morning. We'll go over town by town, and I'll show you what it will feel like when you step out.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13, we take a live look at Durham here just shortly. In a few minutes, we're going to start to see more sunshine there on the horizon. It's going to be a pretty day today, but it's a cold start out there. We do have the top of the tower here in our backyard lit in blue for the clear skies. But take a look at these temperatures. 30 in Roxborough, 32 Henderson, 30 in Lewisburg. It's 29 in South Hill. We're close to freezing from Roanoke Rapids all the way down through Goldsboro at 34. We dropped to 29 in Siler City. Those temperatures in the upper 20s. There's Sanford, 32 there in Smithfield. Those upper 20s are where the farmers are going to be a little bit more concerned. We definitely have the blooms on the strawberries right now, and if they sit with temperatures that cold for long, it will damage the fruits. Of course, frost advisory in effect until 9 a.m.
As we get a check on the roads this morning, Elizabeth, we have two crashes to tell you about. One just popped up, and I'm going to get that one the next time we meet. But let's talk about this first one. Edenton Street westbound at West Street. This is closer to downtown Raleigh. We're not seeing any major delays with that one, but it's just something to for sure be aware of if you're headed in that direction. All those sensors are still, though, in the green at this point. All those major approaches into both the city of Raleigh and Durham are looking great. No major delays, but we'll keep watching it closely through the morning.
Sounds good. Anthony, thank you. Ukrainian authorities say Russia has launched a massive drone attack on the city of Kharkiv. You can see the fire and destruction left behind from those strikes. Ukraine says at least 9 people have been injured. President Volodymyr Zelensky confirms more than 10 drones were used in the attack, and a 12-year-old girl was among the injured.
The Atlantic released what it says are all the sensitive messages received by their editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg. Goldberg reportedly got the texts when he was accidentally included in a group chat with top Trump officials. The newly unveiled messages include detailed strike times and weapons to be used on Houthi targets.
If the timing of a combat mission, an imminently launched combat mission, is not sensitive government information, I simply don't know what is.
Several members of the group chat say no classified information was shared. They say war plans would include strike locations, flight paths, and unit information. President Trump says his defense leaders are doing a great job and calls additional attention placed on this chat leak a witch hunt.
This morning, Congress will hold a hearing about the in-air plane crash that happened in Washington, D.C. Back in January, an Army Black Hawk helicopter hit an American Airlines plane above the Potomac River. 67 people died in that crash. Investigators from the NTSB and FAA will face questions from the Senate. Among them, why no policy changes were made after the NTSB identified 85 dangerous close calls between planes and helicopters near Washington's Ronald Reagan National Airport the 3 years before the crash.
Former college swimmer turned activist Riley Gaines is showing her support for a bill limiting the rights of transgender people in North Carolina. Gaines stopped by Duke University to speak to a room full of athletes and community supporters, but her visit was not welcomed by all. Protesters on campus didn't want to speak on camera, but they used posters to advocate for trans athletes. Gaines rose to prominence in 2022 after she swam against a transgender woman in the NCAA championships. That athlete was Leah Thomas, and she won a gold medal. Gaines spoke exclusively with WRAL about why she chose to speak at Duke.
It's just been a mission of mine the past probably 2 years or so to get on college campuses and do what I can to really help engage and mobilize the youth. I think we're a demographic that's often left out of these important conversations. I'm not standing against anyone or anything. I am very much standing for something, and what I'm standing for is women. So I welcome all.
And you can see more of this interview with Riley Gaines only on WRAL.com and WRAL's YouTube page.
The multi-state measles outbreak is spreading. Health officials in Kansas say they have 23 cases in their state. 20 of them are in people who are unvaccinated. The outbreak has infected nearly 400 people in Texas, New Mexico, and Oklahoma. Dozens of people have been hospitalized, and at least one person, a child, has died. It is 6:17 and springtime in North Carolina. We ride the roller coaster of temperatures. We are on the down run this morning with our temperatures in the 30s in some places. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRO Severe Weather Center. I know you grabbed your puffy coat. I dug out mine.
Exactly. I think a lot of folks will want that. Temperatures are widespread in the 30s in some places down near freezing, even a few spots in the upper 20s this morning. Fayetteville, Raleigh, Apex, and Chapel Hill all mostly clear. There are a couple of clouds floating around out there. This afternoon will feel much like yesterday with some cool temperatures. It won't be quite as windy. Chapel Hill is courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant. Let's talk about our next weather maker. We're going to see some beautiful weather starting tomorrow into Saturday. Highs will be close to 80 degrees. I know a lot of folks are going to be wanting to be out and about over the weekend. But Sunday, we'll see an increasing chance for showers and thunderstorms, mainly late in the day. A better chance for some severe storms on Monday. So most of the weekend should be pretty good to be out and about. Right now, this high pressure system is feeding all the cold air into the region. But on the other side of the high is the warm air. And that starts to push in tomorrow and lingers into the weekend. And then, of course, we have a front on the way. What we see over the weekend into early next week comes in two waves. The first wave comes in on Sunday. This is 5 o'clock on Sunday. You can see pretty late in the day, just some rain that starts to move in, maybe an isolated thunderstorm. Then this is Monday morning at 7 a.m. It could be a little wet for the Monday morning commute, but the cold front itself doesn't come through until much later in the day. There's 5:30. That front's in the mountains, and so it's likely to be an evening event. Could see some rain or storms during the evening commute and then overnight. We do have a pretty good chance for severe storms. We may end up with a level 2 risk for a Monday. Again, the timeline is likely to be the evening and potentially into the overnight hours on Monday night. How much rainfall out of this system? Well, probably we're going to see an average of around a half an inch or so. These numbers are a little bit on the low side, but with the chance for rain on Sunday and again on Monday, I feel like probably we're going to average around half an inch. How about your outdoor plans? Total green light for Saturday. It's going to be warm. It'll be breezy, beautiful, 80 degrees. And then Sunday, the first half of the day is probably fine, but that chance for storms, of course, rising late in the day. Warm temperatures, 80 Friday, 81 Saturday, 78 on Sunday, 79 on Monday. And then after that system moves through, it'll be a little cooler for Tuesday with a high of 68. That is, of course, the opening day for the Durham Bulls. At least it looks dry. Anthony?
Well, it's going to be good to have some dry weather for that. We head out to the roads this morning. Elizabeth, here's our crash that we're going to talk about, though. Edenton Street westbound at West Street. This is closer to downtown Raleigh, but we're not seeing any major delays with that one. At the moment, that is the only crash we have. There was a disabled vehicle up on Creedmoor Road. That's in the clearing stages. And those I-40 delays here, everything is, of course, in the green, looking pretty good. No major delays showing up right there. We're also continuing to watch across both Raleigh and Durham. And you can see those delays there into Durham are non-existent at this point this morning.
Thanks, Anthony. You know, it's not easy being green. College graduates will hear some hard-earned wisdom from Kermit the Frog, what we know about his upcoming commencement speech.
He is a wise one. And Duke disapproves. HBO's White Lotus features the university's logo throughout the show. How the university is responding to the Dark series ahead of what's trending.
And coming up on Today, remembering his parents, the son of two figure skating coaches who were killed in that mid-air collision in D.C., speaks about the loss and how skating has changed him since their deaths.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Duke University says it is not a fan of HBO's White Lotus.
And Kermit the Frog is gearing up to give a college commencement speech. Time for a look at what is trending. The University of Maryland announced Kermit the Frog will be the May commencement speaker for the school. Kermit has a long history with that university. Muppets creator Jim Henson graduated from the university in 1960. The campus garden even has a bronze statue of Kermit and Henson.
Now, this isn't Kermit's first commencement speech. He previously spoke to the Southampton College graduating class back in 1996. Graduation day at Maryland is May 21st, and Can't wait to hear what pearls of wisdom Kermit has.
Lovers and dreamers. I'll have it out there.
True. Duke University does not like the school's supporting role in HBO's White Lotus. You see, one of the leading characters in the series is a Duke alum, sometimes shown in Blue Devils merchandise. And Duke says the show uses their branding without permission and alongside some troubling imagery. The show features suicidal ideation and drug use, among other things.
So you can see where a lot of folks, I watched season 1. I'm not dialed in with this current season right now, but there are fans out there. They're making some jokes. We're in the middle of March Madness. Duke's playing. So, these memes going out in response to, them losing any game in that. But it goes much deeper. You can see Duke not happy about the post, making the point that suicide is the second leading cause of death on college campuses. So you can see why they take the serious tone there with seeing their name across that show.
Why couldn't the series just come up with a fictional university and be done with it?
Right.
But they had to do it.
Final Dreamville Festival is starting to take shape. Sky 5 flew over Dix Park. You can see trucks and construction equipment on site there. Crews appear to be working on a stage along with other preps. That music festival is happening Saturday, April 5th and Sunday, April 6th. Lil Wayne and J. Cole are the headliners. There are VIP tickets still available.
The NHL playoffs are around the corner, and you can watch the Carolina Hurricanes game against the top team in the league, the Washington Capitals, right here on WRAL. Their superstar, Alex Ovechkin, is on a mission. He needs just 6 more goals to break Wayne Gretzky's all-time record. Will the Hurricanes and their top defense be able to lock him down? Watch the game Wednesday night at 7 right here on WRAL.
And look at this, right here in the Triangle, temperatures are near freezing in a lot of spots. I'll show you how it will affect you as you head out the door this morning.
School safety, one of the many issues top of mind for educators. The statewide meeting happening today for public school leaders.
And wildfire fighting efforts. Things are improving in Western North Carolina, where the containment efforts stand today.